So today we're here with the amazing Dr. Osgothorpe, our Chief Medical Officer, and he's going to take us back to school on a topic that we may think that we know a lot about, but with emerging research, he's going to tell us there's so much more. So today we're going to talk about the microbiome.
We've heard a little bit about it.
Yes, and some of us may think we know a lot, but you're going to show us that there is so much more. Emerging research is telling us we have just caught a glimpse of how important this is.
It's really been amazing. If you look at PubMed, over the last 20 years, the microbiome research has actually exploded with 20,000 plus articles, many articles published every single year that is expanding our understanding of the microbiome, how it impacts our health, and how it impacts everything we do to try and improve our health and wellness.
Awesome. So let's just start with the basics.
Sure.
What is the human microbiome?
The human microbiome is composed of trillions upon trillions. It's estimated over 70 trillion cells make up our human bodies, but only half of them are human.
Oh my goodness.
Right? The rest of them are microbes, fungi, bacteria, all the different classes of bacteria. So there are so many cells in our body. We are actually life rafts, if you think about it for a second, for tons and tons of bacteria. And they play essential roles. For most of medicine history, we've not really thought about the microbiome very much. But in the last 25 plus years, we have really developed scientific tools and our understanding has increased exponentially. We're still really just scratching the surface of what the microbiome can do for us, however. It's really quite a remarkable, invisible organ. I think that's something that I would like everybody to understand. The microbiome is this invisible organ within the human body that nobody thinks about, nobody really tries to take care of, nobody really measures to wonder how it's functioning. You don't go to the doctor and check your microbiome. They check your kidney function, your lung function, they check all these other organ systems, but nobody checks the health of your microbiome. And what we've learned over the last 20 years is that's been a mistake.
So usually when this conversation comes up, people are really focused on gut health. And you're saying this is so much more than gut health.
So much more than gut health. It's important to realize, Lauren, that our microbiome, the number of organisms that live in our gut, is huge. And it makes up the vast majority of our microbiomes on our body. But we have microbial communities all over. Every mucosal surface of our body, eyes, ears, mouth, nose, skin, urogenital tract, and of course the gut. Every single one of these plays important roles in our health and wellness, especially in things like innate immunity. We are just uncovering the importance of these different communities and how they impact our health and wellness. These microbes play such important roles that most of us don't give any thought to them whatsoever. We do all these things to prevent illness and take care of our health. But our microbiome, nobody's really checking, nobody's really watching, nobody's really trying to help it be the best it can be, and it truly is this invisible organ system that we've really ignored for the better part of medical history.
And you were sharing with me the other day some amazing research on mouthwash and the oral microbiome. And could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's kind of tweaked me. As we've gotten really heavy into the microbiome and as we've gotten ready for convention coming up and our new launches, we have really been reading a lot around here. I've been reading more microbiome. I thought I was an expert in the microbiome, but being at doTERRA, I haven't read that literature as expertly as I would have if I'd been working in infectious diseases my whole career. And some of the brand new literature coming out about the microbiome, especially our oral microbiome, is fascinating. So for instance, we have within our mouth this large microbial community that nobody really knows what it does. We've learned about dental health a little bit, but it's been fascinating to learn that if you use mouthwash, that you have problems with sugar metabolism. A 4.5-fold increase in sugar metabolism issues for people who use mouthwash. That to me was astounding. I had no idea. But this is kind of what I'm talking about. So when you think about the gut and the microbiome, or you think about the mouth and how it affects other organ systems in the body, who would have thought that there's a gut-brain interface, or that there's a way that by altering your microbiome in your mouth, disrupting it with mouthwash, that it would impact the way we metabolize carbohydrates and sugar? Who would have thought that a simple little microbe and its metabolites, the way that it's living, impacts the way that we live? This is what I mean by an invisible organ.
Which is really cool because I think most of the conversation, especially as an infectious disease doctor, we're always looking at how can we get rid of bacteria and viruses.
Yeah.
And now, could you tell us a little bit how they're actually beneficial? Because it is kind of like a mind shift for a
Yep.
lot of people to be like, I've been trying my whole life to eliminate as much as possible, and now you're telling me that might be damaging and that these are actually doing
Yeah.
something good for me. So what are some of the benefits of microbiome?
Oh, well, I mentioned earlier the innate immunity idea. So I like to think about it like a garden, right? Your microbiomes all over your body are like a garden. And if you take care of them, they'll take care of you, okay? So what that really means is that pathogens or problematic microorganisms, the ones we don't want, have trouble colonizing and infecting us if our good bacteria, our microbiome bacteria, are filling up all the rooms at the inn. And there's no room for a pathogen to land, colonize, and infect. And that's just one. There are, like I was mentioning earlier, there's impacts on the gut-brain interface. There's effects on how it affects our hormones, how it affects our appetites, how it affects our sugar metabolism, our skin. But suffice it to say, if we take care of and try and help our microbiome do its intended job better, we will be more healthy.
I love that. So the garden analogy is super powerful. And you mentioned if we take care of the garden, we have a higher yield, right? We have
Yeah.
a healthier garden. So what are some things people could start doing today that would really create a healthy microbiome, really support the microbiome that they have
Okay,
existing?
thank you for asking. This research has been really well worked out. So you can improve the diversity and the health of your microbiome by eating a whole food diet, unprocessed foods. Unfortunately, in the developed world, 75% or so of our nutrition comes from 12 plants and animals. That's an astounding thing.
Yeah.
And so as we age, because of that fact, our microbiome diversity just shrinks. So if you want your diversity to improve, eat whole foods, eat unprocessed foods, get good rest, get good exercise. Sound familiar? I mean, I've been saying this for how long? But if you do these things, all sorts of health benefits are realized, not just around metabolism, but around your microbiome. And your microbiome affects your metabolism. So you truly are biohacking or biostacking. You're stacking your hacks when you are doing these things.
Yeah.
So I don't know how better to say this, but you've got to be intentional and you've got to be consistent if you want your microbiome to be healthy. The other thing that you can do is you can take a probiotic that contains both prebiotics, postbiotics, that will help your microbiome be more healthy. It's kind of like watering that garden every day. If you water it every day, those fruits and vegetables you want to grow, and the weeds don't. The pathogens don't. There's no room at the inn for bad things to show up if you take care of water, mulch, aerate your garden.
I love it. So you made 3 key points that I want to focus in on. One is our microbiome as we age.
Oh,
Diversity
the
goes
diversity decreases. So as we age, what we've measured this. Like we've looked at young adults to older adults, and the number of species and the diverse way that these are ratioed against one another, they just decrease over time. So it's one of the effects that we think is probably linked to aging, although we haven't found the direct link. I like to think about the microbiome's effect on our body, all of which is indirect, not direct.
Awesome. And then you mentioned diversity. It's incredibly important. This is part of the crowding out.
Yeah, it's exactly part of why we have to have this diverse microbiome. Is if you have, well, diversity is the spice of life. And it's the same thing with our microbiome. If you have monoculture or just one thing, you're susceptible to that one thing's weakness. But if you have a large group of diverse, healthy microbiome bacteria and fungi in and on your bodies, you can handle lots of different kinds of challenges.
Very cool. So on August 8th, Dr. Riggs and I are going to chat through the wellness pyramid and how
Yeah.
lifestyle factors come into play, impacting the diversity and health of our microbiome.
That is going to be a fascinating conversation, one you will not want to miss. I will not be missing it. I will be in the background laughing at Brannick and making fun of him as we go.
We're going to see that interaction. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah.
But then the third thing that you mentioned was we could be taking something on a daily basis. And how could we do that?
So you've heard me say this before, but when we want to take care of our health, we have to be intentional and consistent. So when we talk about taking care of our microbiomes, we're talking about sleep, exercise, whole foods, non-processed foods, and probiotics. Every day. Every day. This isn't something you get to just sort of say, well, I'll try it. It's Tuesday. No, it's got to happen every day. Otherwise, you're not realizing but a tiniest of fraction of the health and benefit available to you by taking care of your microbiome.
And we have an amazing product that you could be taking on a daily basis, right? Our PB Assist and our PB Assist Junior for our kids.
Absolutely. And at convention, you're going to hear so much more about this. Like, this is why we're having this conversation, is to get people educated and excited about what's coming. We're very excited about convention to share with you how we've improved and expanded upon these principles to make our lives better. This kind of product is like cool water on a hot sunny day. It's just going to create all sorts of growth, biodiversity, and health in those who use them intentionally and daily.
I love that. And I believe that Jared has an amazing announcement for you guys. So thank you, Dr. O, for joining me today, for sharing all your wealth of knowledge. Hopefully you guys are super intrigued and realize that there is so much more to learn about this. Hopefully you'll join us at convention so Dr. Osgothorpe and more can really dive into this. I know there's so much more you're dying to say.
I am. Please remember that macro changes start with the microbiome. It's just that simple.